lakes rising and falling in response to tropical rains. And what we see in the cores are physical manifestations of the changing water depth. When the lake was at its deepest, maybe well over 100 meters deep, black, finely laminated muds were deposited. And then later it dries out and you get cracks. Well, one thing I've found, usually you have to reverse statements in these geological articles. When the lake was at its deepest, black, finely laminated muds were deposited. Well, how did they know that the lake was at its deepest? Because finely laminated muds were deposited. It's not independent. It really should say, because we find finely laminated muds, we conclude that the lake was 100 meters deep. So that, I mean, this is you have to do this all the time, actually. And here I think they're correct, it's reasonable. But there are many cases where, like with salt deposits, because the shallow sea was cut off from the main ocean and evaporated, we find salt deposits. And what they really mean is, we find salt deposits, and so we conclude that it was evaporated. But when you have the possibility that it was precipitated out of the atmosphere, these 1,000-meter deposits of salt in northern Germany, say, then you have to watch out when they say, well, it was caused because it was cut off from the main ocean. And just to make a long story short, the rise and fall of lakes in sync with the magnitude of tropical storms. Well, some of you live near lakes. I talked to Mary Louise. You probably know Lake Zurich. Does it rise and fall a lot with the rainfall? Most lakes,
The rivers do.
the rivers do, yes. But most lakes have a number of inlets and a main outlet. And the depth of the lake is really controlled by the outlet. If it rains a lot, the water flows out quickly. So, well, the rise and fall of lakes. And then it says it dries out. Well, maybe I'll say briefly, this Newark Basin is an unusual one. It formed in the Triassic when Pangaea was starting to break apart. So it's basically a big rift valley and probably didn't even have an outlet. There may not have. So, and it's suspicious that, I mean, it makes you suspect there wasn't, because it filled with water and then it dried out. It's really more like a desert playa lake. When the rain is heavy, it rises, and then after a while it evaporates off. But if you were really in a climate with tropical monsoons, it would fill up totally, like the big rift valleys in the center of Africa that are giant lakes. So it makes you wonder, well, maybe it wasn't really a tropical monsoon climate after all. Maybe it was just periodic heavy rains that then, anyway. I think his conclusions could well be right. But I just wanted to give an example. If you want to do something anthroposophical in geology, you can't trust the scientific articles. You have to really look at their data and see how they got their conclusions. So that was my point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you know addressing a bit more about the article? It's fascinating about the planetary cycle.
I didn't really